Hey, everybody. I've got a really interesting session for us today. And this is coming from the point where I just finished talking to a bunch of people in a web design setting, and and it was really interesting because the number one question I got was, "Tell me some tools. What are the things that I can do that really can drive an impact and a result for my clients?" And and that was an interesting thing because everybody was thinking, well, there's really two categories of people. There's one category of people where they were thinking, I'm kind of new to things. I'm not really sure what the best approach is to really drive results for my clients. Tell me some things that I can do to make a difference. The other category of people, and this is by far the majority of people were thinking, tell me something new that I haven't heard before. Give me access to a platform that I didn't know existed. Give me, what is it that you do to drive results for your clients? How do you make a big difference for people like that? And so the interesting thing about that was everybody seemed to be thinking that there was going to be some new thing, some new platform that no one's heard of before that will get your clients on the first spot on Google in one day, or somebody would, or some kind of email marketing platform that somehow has a delivery rate that's so far superior to everyone else's, or what can you do to, what are the tricks and secrets for SEO or whatever? What are the things that you can really drive results for your clients with today, more so than before? And it occurred to me. So as I was kind of hanging out there, hello. So I'm running all of this through Ecamm right now. So I can't see the names of anybody unless you kind of click the little link to let me see your name because of the way the permissions work through this thing. But it gives me the opportunity to get higher quality audio and video than I otherwise would be able to do. So hello, a big wave to you. So so again, I always jump into things. I'm so excited to come here and talk to you guys that I always forget to introduce myself. I very, very seldom ever do it. So I'm Lee Blue. I'm the founder of Doublestack, and Doublestack is designed specifically to help web designers and WordPress developers ramp up two things. One, their technical skill set, which is what we're talking about right now. What are some of the tools and things that you can use to really drive results for your clients, but also ramp up the business development side so that you're actually attracting these high value long-term clients that you can, so you're onboarding clients where the value of a client's over $10,000 as opposed to $100, $500 little projects here and there. So that's what Doublestack is all about. I am the founder there, and it's really a mentoring program more so than it is anything else. It's not like an online course or online lessons, although there are in fact some recorded videos to talk about some things. But the main thing is how can we get you an extra $5 to $10 a month coming in consistently, if that on a workload that you can handle in just 3 to 5 hours a day in terms of billable time. So so that's what Doublestack's all about. And so I was talking to a bunch of people, and we were kind of going through, well, what are some tools and platforms that are out there now that maybe I didn't know about? And the first group of people were kind of people that were new to web design and just kind of getting started, and were just really curious more so than anything else. What is out there? And these were the people that had never really heard of things like drip campaigns and sales funnels and lead magnets and how to use landing pages and things like that. And so there legitimately are a ton of things. In Doublestack, one of the main things that we do, one of the first things that we do, is we make sure that you're feeling really comfortable and confident in your ability to drive business results for your clients. And to do that, I'll introduce you to 15 or 20 different things that you can be doing on an ongoing basis for your clients. Everything from copywriting to how do you write more persuasive copy in particular context too. How do you write better emails for, reaching out to people? How do you do landing pages? How do you do a lead magnet? What is a lead magnet? How do you set up a drip campaign? What is a sales funnel? And what are some different structures for that? And how many steps do you need in a successful funnel? So we talk about all those types of things. And there's a chunk of people that were asking me questions kind of along those lines. But the majority, I would say probably 75 to 80%, they knew about, at least by name, they knew about those types of things. Maybe they're not full-blown, all out experts and all of that stuff. And then it dawned on me, it occurred to me that it wasn't really a tool or a technical issue that everybody was really curious about. And it occurred to me that it was really a mindset issue. And kind of right in the middle of my thinking, I just paused and stopped. And I said, if you're thinking that you're looking for a brand new tool that nobody's ever heard of, the secret, platform that can get you out there or get your clients out there in a brand new way, your mindset's in the wrong place. Because there really isn't anything like that. Like, it doesn't take, you don't have to get involved with Doublestack or anything else to pretty much become familiar with the fact that there's a lot of stuff, but it's a finite universe. It's like, there's stuff that you can do with email. There's stuff that you can do with SEO. There's stuff that you can do on social media. There's various ways to build landing pages and set up sales funnels and things like that. But it's a finite universe, and it really is not about the individual tools that people need in order to be successful. Like, if you're just getting started and you want to get some exposure to that, then we can talk about it, and I can ramp you up on that really quickly. But here's the bottom line. If you're thinking that you're needing to find like the magical tool that no one else knows about to give you the edge so that your clients will want to work with you instead of somebody else and at a higher value rate than with competition and things like that, and you want to set yourself apart, your mindset's in the wrong place. Because the truth is, everybody knows about everything. There's nothing new. There's nothing that I could tell you in terms of some kind of email marketing platform or whatever it might be that nobody's ever heard of before, that nobody else is doing. There's nothing like that. Everything is known. There's no new tool. And so if you're out there thinking that the main thing that you need to do is discover that magical thing and you're just kind of hungry for it, and that's why you go to meetup groups and things like that, then your mindset is in the wrong place. Because the secret platform, like if you want to differentiate yourself from everybody else and you want to basically shine like a light in the darkness when it comes to helping like a local business, a small business, even a medium-sized business, like the people that you want to work with, if you want to help them actually get the results that they're looking for, what they need is not the new magical tools and magical platforms. What they really need is you. You are the magical tool that they're looking for. That's the shift. That's the way that you shift away from all of the competition doing all of the things. Because anybody can say, hey, I'll hook your website up to a Google Calendar so people can, see what your availability is. Or anyone can say, I'll hook you up with, an email list, like put this email opt-in form on your site so people can, grow your list. I mean, anybody can do that. Not only can anybody do that, but almost any client can even ask for that. So if you're out there trying to say, if you're out there like writing a proposal where you're going to have this kind of technical checklist of these things that you're planning to do for your client because you've kind of interviewed them and you've asked and you've kind of discovered that these are the things they need, that's not going to work out. And the reason it's not going to work out is because, well, there's two big reasons. The first reason is when you begin to list all of those things, and I talk to people about this all of the time, and maybe you even feel like you had this issue. Do you feel like you're reluctant to submit a proposal to someone because you feel like you're giving away the blueprint of how to actually, whatever it is that you're going to do and what you're going to charge for it, so that then the client can then take that and then shop it around to see who else can do those things for cheaper? Or maybe they even take your blueprint and say, oh, these are great ideas. We'll just kind of do them internally. Like if you feel like that is a problem, and it's a huge problem. It is an absolutely gigantic problem. In fact, I'll talk to people who will even tell me to my face that what they really want more so than anything else is they'll follow up with the client and say, hey, can you give me the proposals that other people have submitted so I can just see what they're doing? That'd be really helpful to me, even if we're not working together. I understand I lost the project, but can you just kind of tell me what you're doing instead? And then you try to take the proposal and kind of, try to mimic their blueprints. And that's a losing battle. Now, I guess maybe to some degree, there's a little bit of information so you can kind of find out about what people are charging for certain things, and maybe you discover a new tool in the process along the mix or whatever. But the bottom line is, if that's where your mindset is, and like how can you put the puzzle pieces together in a way that's different and unique, then you're missing the boat. Because what's going to happen is every time you hand somebody over that blueprint to see, if they want to work with you, then you're competing with everybody else handing over these technical checklist style proposals. And so there's all of this competition and there's downward price pressure everywhere. So like as soon as if you're in a situation where you run these meetings with your clients and you're brainstorming with one another and having this breakthrough discovery kind of interview style meeting, and what you're doing is extracting requirements from the meeting, and then you put the requirements all down in a list, and then that's the proposal. The problem with that is the client will then take that list, shop it around to see who else will do it for cheaper. And now you've kind of exposed all of your secret sauce and what the price is, and given away all of your best stuff for free. You did the interview with your client, you wrote the proposal, you probably spent at least a couple of hours in doing all of that, if not longer. Just the meeting alone is probably a couple hours, and then you got to write it all up and then submit all of that, and then you have to keep doing that over and over and over. That's not a recipe for building high value WordPress sites, which is what this group is all about. It is a recipe for working with clients. I mean, that's what most people do. Most people work that way. But what I'm telling you, and the reason that we're having this discussion right now, is there's a significantly better way than doing it that way. Because what your clients are ultimately looking for is not somebody to implement all of the things on the checklist. Because if you're in a situation where your client is able to ask you for all of the things that they need, and then you say, yes, 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 I can do it, you're not elevating the client to a level that they couldn't get to without you. And so what that means is they could just ask someone else that has similar skills to yours, but perhaps a lower price, to do the things that they need. And of course, that's why all the pricing is so low right now, because there's so many people out there that can do that type of work. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse in a variety of ways. One way it's getting worse is if all a client really needs is a couple of pages on the internet, and they've got some Word docs and they've got some documentation in there for their business, and they want to get that on the internet. Well, then Wix and Weebly and Squarespace and all of these kind of do-it-yourself site builders can kind of take care of that issue. If, on the other hand, they already have a website, they need a couple of updates, maybe they changed their office hours, maybe they moved and have a new address that they need to put out there, and they need somebody to update that, or maybe they want to add a better contact form with different questions, or even if they want to get into e-commerce or something like that, and they kind of hear the things that they think they want, well, then they can even go into like Fiverr and Upwork and find people literally all over the entire earth that can do those types of things. And if you find yourself kind of jumping into the mix doing that type of stuff, you simply can't price your work very much higher than everyone else, even if you do a tremendously better job than everyone else, because the clients can't evaluate the value of your work versus the value of someone else's work if everybody's saying the same thing. Like, they don't have the technical skills to see that you can do significantly better work than someone else. So then what you end up doing is you end up falling back on, well, working with me is a better experience because I'm local, I answer my phone, I care about your business, I'm going to be here for you for the long haul, like all of these types of things that you might try to kind of throw out there as better work experience, better customer service. We're in the same time zone, so it's going to be more efficient, things like that. And that will take you a little bit. Like, somebody will say, well, I could go and get an overseas developer or something like that for cheap, or I could work with this person here who's local. Well, I think I'd rather do the local thing because it's the same time zone. There's not going to be a language barrier. We're right here, so we can meet if we want to. Those are some things that are better. So, okay, instead of paying $500, I'll pay $750. Something like that. And that'll get you some space. You can charge a little bit more because of it. But it doesn't make up like a $4,000 gap, right? So you can't go from $500 to $5,000 because you're local and you're nice to work with, you answer emails, you care, and have a phone. I mean, you can't, it's not going to bridge that large of a gap, because if you're out there and you put a significantly higher price tag on your work, then what's going to happen is they're going to say, hey, you know what? I can't afford that. That's more than I was expecting. That's out of our budget. Why are you so much more expensive than everyone else? And then you open this huge can of worms, or whatever you want to call it, where you now have to explain, well, you have to start teaching people, well, here's what I do, and here's why it's better, and blah, blah, blah. And by the time you're 3 seconds into it, the client is completely glazed over, overwhelmed with everything you're saying, just waiting for you to stop talking, just to eventually tell you that it's not going to work out, it's too expensive. You're either going to have to lower your price or we can't work together. And so then you're stuck thinking, well, shucks, do I lower my price just to get the project? Do I move on and hope to find a better lead, even though I don't know where that's going to come from? That's the kind of attitude and personality traits that kind of come to the surface when you have that style of a business. And so what I'm telling you here is you want to shift your mindset away from thinking of yourself in that light. And you don't want to think of yourself as like the person who can do all the things the client is asking for, right? So like That's the recipe for becoming like the jack of all trades, master of none kind of a thing, where like you can just do all the things, but you're not awesome at any of them. You're pretty good at a lot of it. And then and the reason that you do that is because you never know what people are going to ask you for when they contact you. So like, what if you get a referral from somebody? Do you have any idea what they're going to ask from you? Like, what if they ask you to do something you don't want to do? What if they ask you to do something you feel like you could probably figure out, but you don't know how to do it right now? Is it really a good deal for them to hire you for that? Or maybe you even know of somebody that you could refer your client to that could probably do a better job at that particular thing, but you don't because you got the lead and you want the work. And so then you kind of have this weird mental state where you're like, am I really serving my client at the deepest level possible? Or would they be better off with somebody else? Like if there was no money in the mix, like, am I the best person for that? Or would it be better if they went with someone else? And that's that's the thing that you want to avoid. And so what you want to do is you want to put yourself in a position where you're not just telling your clients about, oh, here's the greatest thing that you can do on the internet today. And you're constantly hungry and scratching around and looking for these new tools or whatever. What you want is you want a situation where your client wants you, like the tool and the process and the system that they're looking for isn't out there. It's in here. It's you. That's the big shift. That's what you want to do in terms of your marketing, in terms of your mindset, in terms of your pricing, in terms of the way that you present yourself as different from the competition. You don't want people to think, oh, you implement these things better than somebody else, or you do it for cheaper, or you do it for faster. What you want is someone to say, I can't get what you're offering anywhere else. That is the shift. You don't want to be like, well, I'm going to work with Lee because Lee can do all of these things for faster and cheaper and better, and he has all these experiences and all this other stuff, so I'm going to work with him, even though if for whatever reason he turned me down and he was too busy right now, I could then go to somewhere else. That's not what you want. You want a situation where somebody comes to you and be like, dude, I never even thought of that. I didn't even know that stuff exists. I didn't even know you could even do that. The solution that I need for my business is to work with you. That is the shift you need to make. And when you make that shift, you're going to find a tremendous difference in terms of your mindset, in terms of the prices that you can charge for your work, in terms of the types of clients that you attract. And another big point to make about that is when you shift your mindset, like we're talking about right now, like when you move into a position where you're no longer thinking about having to find all of the technical platforms and to be the web mechanic. So whenever somebody comes in for a tune-up, you've got all the parts and can do all the things. It's not gonna be the level that you want. You're going to attract clients that only ask you for a sliver of what you can do. That's the problem, right? So like if you're constantly relying on referrals, you don't know who's gonna call you, you don't know who's gonna be referred to you, you don't know what you're gonna be asked to do, then who knows what they're gonna want? Like you get into the meeting and like, hey, you know what? We were noticing that, you click this link and nothing happens. Can you figure out why that is? And then you're like, well, duh, all you have to do is fix a broken link on a website or whatever. And of course you could do that, but that's nothing. That's just a tiny fraction of a drop in the bucket compared to what you could be doing. But what if you then say, well, let's talk about, and they're like, no, and before you even get into it, they're like, no, we just need to fix this link. And so what's happening is clients are viewing you as very low value because you're solving a low value problem, right? So like, what if somebody called you up and said, hey, the grass is really tall outside of my house right now. Can you come mow it? And I was literally just talking to somebody about this just a minute ago. And they said, hey, can you come mow my grass? I mean, that is something you could probably do, especially if they say, hey, we've got the lawnmower and the gas and everything. All we need you to do is just show up and push it. Can you do that for us? Why is it the case that you're not getting calls like that? Like, why aren't people asking you to do that? Like, that's probably finally some threshold lower than what you're even willing to entertain as something that you do, right? But when it comes to fixing a broken link or fixing a slider or whatever it might be, so updating the office hours on my website, I mean, that's probably even easier than mowing the lawn, but yet you still do it. And the reason you do it is because the leads are asking you to do it. You want the work. You want to make people happy doing a good job. Nothing wrong with that. But the problem is they're not asking you for the stuff that you're valuable at doing. They're not looking for you. They're looking for some kind of technical solution. And if that's where the mindset is, you're going to be competing with the entire earth. all over the place, and it's getting worse and significantly worse and not better because of platforms like Fiverr and Upwork and Craigslist, for crying out loud, and Wix and Weebly and Squarespace, and like all of these platforms that make it kind of easy to implement these types of things. And so when a client is looking for that, then they're just saying, well, who can do this at a reasonably good rate and with a reasonable level of customer service? And I have an expectation of paying like $500. That's the kind of thing. And once you move away from that and you shift into someone saying, well, what I really need for my business to actually get results for my business, to grow my business, to get more customers, to get more leads, to get more phone calls, to get more repeat customers, to increase the value of the customers I already have by letting them know that I can do more things. So like, those are the types of questions that businesses really have on their mind. And when you put together solutions to pull that off, then no one else is doing that, right? You have what they call like a blue ocean. It's like, I don't know if you ever read that book, but it's like a marketing book, and it's the gist of it is there's a difference between a blue ocean and a red ocean. The blue ocean is nobody's doing it, it's brand new, and you've got this vast amount of space to do whatever you want. The red ocean is, it's this feeding frenzy. It's like the definition of the combination of Upwork, Fiverr, and Craigslist and everything else. It's like everybody's just clawing and fighting and everything, and all, there's blood everywhere because it's this feeding frenzy, and there's nothing going on. You can't compete and win in a situation like that, which is of course the opposite of the blue ocean, where you're the one who's got the whole place to yourself. That's what you want. And when you get into a situation where someone says, man, what you really need to do to grow your business, you got to call that guy over there. He's going to help you out. Call Lee. He can help you do this stuff for you. That's what you really need. Just do what he says and you'll be good. That's the kind of shift that you want to make. And when you make that shift, then you're going to find that your mindset is the first thing that changes. Like, you don't think of yourself as the web mechanic where people just bring their site in for a tune-up and you fix it and off they go. And instead, you think of yourself as a business consultant, and that you actually have a combination of tools and skills and services and expertise and knowledge and past experience and, all of those things. It goes beyond just, technical skills. It's this bigger picture that you can combine to really drive an outcome, like a result for your clients. You'll think of yourself like that. That'll be the first shift that happens. Second to that, you'll change the way you speak about how you can help people. When you change the way that you put yourself out there, when you change the words that you say, when you change the way that you talk about yourself online, on your website, face-to-face and in person, like if you go to like a meetup group or something like that, you change the way that you talk about your business, and you no longer become the guy that just lists their skills all over the website or whatever. You shift into this business consulting role. And so you're going to change the way that you talk about yourself. So the first thing that changes is your mindset. The second thing that changes is the way that you present yourself. And when you change those two things, everything else changes too. Now you attract a dramatically different audience, right? Because you're saying different stuff, you're thinking different stuff, you're behaving in a different way. And when you do that, you're going to find that you attract a dramatically different audience. And it's not going to be the people that just ask for these little trinkets or these little fixes. You're not just the web mechanic. You're not just coming in for a site tune-up. You're actually coming in as an architect, right? You're like somebody who's going to come in and really solve a problem specific to the client. That's the difference, right? That's where you want to be. That's the blue ocean. No one does it that way. Everyone else is fighting this frenzied price crashing down situation all over the internet. And what I'm here to say is I would like for you to stop doing that and get out of that race, because it will burn you out. You won't make the money that you want to make. You won't have the results for your clients that they are actually counting on you for. You're not going to be able to sustain that business in any reasonable way with all of the people that are working overseas, where the conversion rates and the monetary situation is such that they can legitimately afford to charge way less and still be wealthy in their economy. So you just can't compete like that. And even if you could, you probably wouldn't want to, because it doesn't drive the results your clients are really looking for. And the bottom line is anybody can implement all the things, right? Like anybody can put together anything, like all of the technical tools out there, and it's getting easier and easier and easier. Like one of the big shifts that we talk about in the web development world today, especially in the WordPress world, is the stuff that used to be hard is now easy, right? Like multi-page forms used to be hard. I used to have a client who hired me specifically to build web applications to collect college applications, like people applying to go to college, and it was a multi-page form, and we wanted to be able to like pre-populate some of the fields based on what we knew from them with regard to the actual physical mailing list that we had. So you would get to this this enrollment form or whatever, or this college application. It would be pre-filled out with your name and address and stuff like that. You just had to answer the stuff we didn't know, and we could bookmark the spots. And it's basically like a multi-page form. And people would pay thousands and thousands of dollars for that back then. And now you just use Gravity Forms or something, and you can just do it. So what used to be complicated is now easy. Same thing with e-commerce. It's like, it used to be complicated to sell stuff. Now it's easy. Hosting and backups. It used to be complicated. Now it's easy. Like, all of these things are kind of going in the direction where anyone can do it, which is why the competition is so much greater, which is why the price is so much lower. And what I'm trying to invite you to do is move out of that, and so that people aren't looking at you as someone who implements technical skills. So they're not looking for the technical skills. They're looking for you, because you have what it takes to drive the results that they're looking for. And that's not just going to be tech skills. It's going to be a combination of your skills, your past experiences in certain markets. Like, say, for example, you grew up working in a household where your dad was the dentist or something like that. And so you know kind of what it's like for your family to be in the dental environment. Like, you know what it's like to run a business like that because you kind of grew up in that. And so you know what the challenges are and what it means to be successful at dentistry. And then you might say, well, because of that, I'm going to be able to be more successful at helping dentists because you have all that experience and all that knowledge. Or maybe you even used to work in that field yourself and at some capacity. Or maybe you've had past clients that do that, so you've been able to learn the business from that perspective. Well, that is going to put you in a significantly better position than someone who just wants to work with dentists because they feel like they have the money to afford a more expensive website. Right? So that's just one aspect. So it's your skills, it's your experience, it's your knowledge of certain markets. It's the stuff that you like as opposed to things you don't like. So keep in mind that if you're doing work and you like it, then you can do a significantly better job than if you didn't, right? Like, if you're bored with something, if you don't feel like it's worth your time, if it's stupid, it's very difficult to motivate yourself to do your best work compared to if you're working with somebody who is doing something that you're really behind. So like, all of those things combined is kind of what it means to be you. And what you want to put yourself into a position where the clients that you speak to are looking for you, and then you're able to help them. And that's what it means to be a high value consultant. That's ultimately what you're going for. And when you do it that way, then you're going to find that you land a handful of clients, somewhere probably between 5 to 10 clients in your portfolio. You work with them on an ongoing basis, each of whom are paying you, $1 to $3 to $4, maybe $5,000 per month. And the reason they're paying you that much is because you're driving a result that's even larger than that for them, because you're not only doing the tech stuff, you're also figuring out, well, how can we combine this in a way that's going to make a difference for your clients? That's ultimately what they're looking for. That's really embodied in you as an individual. And that's what you ultimately want to be shifting your mindset towards. That's what you want to shift, the way that you present yourself. And when you shift those two things, that will change the way that clients view you and the types of clients that you attract and the types of projects that you win and the length of the relationship that you have with your clients and the pricing that you can charge. Like, all of the things begin to kind of domino in the right direction once you make that shift. And so the bottom line is, you don't want to think of yourself as the web mechanic that just does a lot of random stuff and you just got parts laying all over the place and somebody brings their site in for a tune-up, you do it, and off they go. Because what they're really looking for is just the parts, just the skills, just the tech stuff. What you want to be doing is have people look for you as the result, not the skills. And so if you're thinking to yourself, well, how can I do that? Like, maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, I can do a lot of great stuff. And so you've got all these pieces to the puzzle kind of like spread out on the table, right? And like, one piece of the puzzle is you can do web design. And another piece of the puzzle is you can actually implement the design in WordPress somehow, like maybe through Elementor or Beaver Builder, or maybe you can hand code stuff or whatever. You can do custom themes. So you can do that. But you can also do social media marketing, and you also know how to do, maybe you're good with the camera. So you got photography skills or videography skills. And maybe you've got some experience with marketing too, especially with copywriting. Maybe you can do that. Maybe you've got some experience with setting up funnels or doing email marketing. And so you got all these puzzle pieces all over the place. One of the challenges is trying to assemble the actual puzzle without seeing the box, right? Without knowing what the big picture is ahead of time. That tends to be a big issue. And so the way that we overcome that is you get an outside perspective. And as soon as somebody comes in and says, like, say you're sitting there struggling, like, I don't even know what to write on my website. I don't even know how to talk about myself in a way that I'm not saying email marketing and website design and SEO and social media or whatever. I don't know how to talk about myself like that. but yet you still have all those pieces to the puzzle just kind of sitting out there on the table. Well, imagine if you were sitting there trying to put together a puzzle, all you had were the puzzle pieces just spread all over the table, and then finally somebody walked in and said, hey, look, this is what you want the puzzle to look like. And then you're like, oh, okay, now I have a better idea here. Like, I can see how it all fits together now. But without somebody saying, here's the end goal, this is what you want the puzzle to look like when you have the pieces together, it's so much harder to put it all together because you don't even know what you're looking for. You don't have any like direction because you've got all this stuff that you can do and you find yourself paralyzed. And that's probably why, if you've been working on your own website or your own marketing, you're kind of paralyzed as to even what to say. It's like, that's a big issue. Like, one of the main things that I can help people with is what to say on your own website, and or what to say when you're going to a presentation, or what to say in a client meeting. It's a lot of times it's very difficult to do the marketing for yourself, even though you could do a great job marketing for someone else. And this is why. It's because you've got all these pieces to the puzzle, but nobody is showing you the big picture. And so therefore, it's really, really hard to put it all together and make, the end result what you want. And so that's the whole point of Doublestack. It's like when you enroll in Doublestack and we start working together, it's literally a one-on-one kind of mentoring, coaching type of a situation, in the sense that you and I actually work together on this, and I'll show you the big picture. And then we'll say, okay, here's how all the pieces fit together now that we see what the big picture is. And so if that's kind of where you're feeling like you are, and you want to shift away from all of this individual kind of web mechanic, tune-up kind of website little projects, and into a situation where you can take all those skills plus a bunch of other stuff and ultimately develop yourself as the kind of asset that your clients are really looking for, then let's get on the phone and talk about it. Like, that's literally the whole point of doing these sessions. It's the point of talking to people for free for 45 minutes on the phone. Let's get on the phone. Head over to doublestack.net/call and you'll find my schedule. Pick a time that works really well for you. And the next screen you'll see is an actual little form where you can fill it out and give me a link to your website if you've got it up already. Just a little history about what's going on with your business. What do you normally charge your clients? Just so I can be prepared, so we can pack that 45 minutes with incredible value. So even if you don't want to join and kind of work together, at least let's just do the calls to kind of get you pointed in the right direction, because I know there's a lot of people out there. I mean, I literally get questions all day long, all the time now about this stuff. And it's just no use. It's like, why sit there and stare at all the pieces on the table, wondering how it all fits together? And like, how long are you going to do that until you finally get some help and someone says, here's the picture that we're really going for. And then you can instantly put it all together because you know how it all fits now. That's the point that we're going for. So head over to doublestack.net/call. Let's get on the phone and talk about this stuff. And you're going to come away with some awesome ideas. You'll probably have some new ideas that you've never thought of before, which is going to be eye-opening, but you're also going to get some insight into like, how do you put all this stuff together for the markets that you really want to go after, so you don't have to take the projects that you don't want to do and work with the people you don't like working with? And how much should you charge for that? Like, what rates can you charge for that kind of stuff? And then and the other thing too that's huge is, how do you get the business structure that you can actually scale to make an awesome living, so you have the freedom and the time and the resources to actually do the stuff you want to be doing, which is the whole reason you started your business in the first place. So how do you get a structure that can sustain that level of revenue, as opposed to maybe what it's like right now, where you're just frantically trying to fight the feast or famine cycle and do as much work as you can, and you're burning yourself out and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be anywhere near like that. So let's get on the phone and talk about it. We'll resolve those issues right there on the phone over the next 45 minutes. And then later on, if you're like, hey, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe I do want to, explore what Doublestack is like. And, maybe we do want to work together. We can talk about that too. See if it's a good fit for both of us. And if it is, awesome. But if it's not, at least you've got yourself pointed in the right direction. And maybe we can talk again later on. So that's what I'm suggesting that you do is make sure that your clients view you as the asset that they want, as opposed to just any old person who can implement the things that they think they're asking for. When you make that shift, it changes your mindset. It changes the way you talk about yourself. And when you change that, it changes everything else. It changes the client you attract, the way they view you, the value of that relationship, the structure of your business. So it's not one and done projects, it's ongoing. long-term, high-value relationships. That's the shift that we want to be making. If you feel like that's what you would like to do too, head over to doublestack.net/call. We'll get on the phone, talk about it, and it will be awesome. So there we go. That's what we got for today. High five for the week. Boop. And if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments box below, and I'll keep an eye on that throughout the week, and we can kind of continue the conversation there. Someone says, exactly, I have trouble not saying too much or trouble saying the right things to attract customers to the broad range of skills I offer. Yes, that is so, that's so common. It's huge, even to the point where you can't even figure out how to even write an email to describe yourself. Have you ever tried to, had to give a presentation somewhere and someone says, hey, write your bio? And you're like, well, shucks, I don't even know how to do that. It's like, I can do so much stuff. I don't even know how to begin to describe it. And then you try to create your website, and the best that you can figure out is I'll just list all the skills that I can do. And of course, when you do that, you're marketing to the wrong people, right? Like the customers you're trying to attract ultimately are not interested in the skills because they don't even know the skills. It's like they want the outcomes. It's like if like some mechanic was trying to attract me as a client because I don't know a whole lot about cars, and they started listing all the different parts and things about the cars or whatever that they could do. So that's the big picture. Once you shift out of that, then you make a huge difference for yourself. So if you find yourself struggling with any of that stuff, let's get on the phone, talk about it, and get you unstuck and pointed in the right direction. And literally within a couple of weeks, you can make gigantic shifts to the point where, like I was just talking to a couple of the Doublestackers. I'm going to post Jeff's interview here in a couple of days here. And like he had one client who paid him $800 for a website. That's how he started out. A couple of weeks later, he now has multiple clients paying him over 5 figures each, so over $10,000. And this shift was exactly what we just talked about. It's like you change the nature of what you offer, you change everything else about your business at that time. And the end result is, struggling to win an $800 client to now you've got multiple people paying you over 5 figures each. Huge shift. So if that's the kind of thing that you're interested in too, let's get on the phone and talk about it and make that happen for you so that you can actually get out there having the impact that you're supposed to be having and making the revenue that you ought to be earning with the skills that you've got. So again, high five for the week. Boop. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon.